We always struggle with how to start these.
Oh, jeez.
It's definitely a cold opening.
We call it the Unnamed Podcast because it's not a podcast and it doesn't have a name. And then we just start talking because it's not either of those things. I'm just going to ask you some questions. We're going to have a conversation and then hopefully Louisa can pull some gold out of it. But the whole thing we put up on YouTube, so like the whole thing is there if you want to go back and look at it and watch it. Or you can just watch like the highlights.
Okay.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what brought you to Die Hard? How'd you find us?
I'm Paige, and I lived in South Florida, and then I moved here my freshman year of high school, which was awful. Had to make new friends, do new sports. That's how I got into cross country, because I cheered and danced before I ever knew I was going to be a runner, but missed cheerleading tryouts, and our rule in our house was always we had to do a sport. And so we looked during the summer, and my stepdad was a track coach down in South Florida, so he saw Seabreeze had a cross country team. I didn't even know what cross country was, and he told me it was a 3-mile race. I was like, you will never find me running 3 miles. So he just said, trust me, we'll go to the track. He trained me on the OBMS track, and I fell in love with running. So I became a cross-country runner, track runner, and stuck with it.
All right.
And I found Die Hard. I was a personal trainer over at Fitness, and just got bored with the typical weight training, bicep curls, shoulder presses, machines, and I missed like the functional fitness. So when I started there, I needed a space outside of where I worked to work out. So I came here and fell in love with the atmosphere and people and the camaraderie.
So you never thought you were going to be a runner?
Never.
And then somehow you fell in love with running. What did you love before running? What were you doing before?
I danced as a dancer.
That was the sport?
I was a ballerina.
That was the sport, or?
Yeah, cheerleading, dance was a sport.
Okay. So it didn't have to be necessarily like a team sport or anything. You said you had to.
I always
the requirement was that you had to do a sport, so it was really any like an activity.
An activity.
Okay.
Some sort of involvement in a group or a sport.
And so then you fell in love with running. Mm-hmm. And we do a little bit of running here, but it's kind of like a lot more. I mean, there's running, but there's a lot of other stuff. What made you like switch from like being a runner to like, how did that happen? Because you said you were personal training somewhere else, mm-hmm. You're working out somewhere else, but that wasn't running, that was like weights and stuff. How did you get into that?
I don't know. I did boxing too and Muay Thai, so that always involved weight training, functional fitness, box jumps, battle ropes, all sorts of different things that I enjoyed other than running. Running gets boring after a while if you're just running, and also you need strength training to be a good runner.
Little known fact.
Yeah.
So you need strength training to be a good runner. You kind of got into weights through your other things. It wasn't like you just got into weights, it was other things you were doing, weights made you better at it, essentially. All right. So before you came here, you were somewhere else. Were you happy working out? Were you bored? Were you content? Were you wanting more? What was like?
I was content but bored doing what I was doing.
Were you working out in a group or alone?
A group. I hate working out by myself.
I see you running in the neighborhood by yourself for like an hour at a time.
Yeah, that's my alone time though. Like, instead of going to get my nails done or going to get my hair done, I like to plug in some headphones and kind of like zone out and be by myself. That's like my alone time.
Okay. All right. So you had to choose now. What are you going to choose, weights or running?
That's a hard choice. I'd probably pick running.
Why is that?
Because if I'm just lifting weights, then I don't know, I don't get to push myself mentally as much as I do when I run. Like on that last rep or that like failing rep, I don't feel like I'm zoning out or pushing myself mentally as I do running. Running, I want to give up. And I push myself mentally to not give up and to keep going.
What's the farthest you've ever ran?
15 miles.
What was that for?
I wanted to do a half marathon, which is 13.1, before I turned 30. And the farthest I'd ran before that was 10 miles. And so I did a half, and I just decided to do 2 more.
Was it at an event and you just kept running, or it was just on your own?
On my own.
And you just decided even 15 is what it is?
I wanted to exceed my goal.
Okay. So 15 miles is the most. You have any desire to run a marathon?
No.
You ever going to run another half marathon?
Yes.
When?
And we're going to do one in November, October.
When it cools down a little bit. When you go out on Sundays, how much do you run?
6 to 8 miles.
You could probably just double up and do one on a Sunday, right?
I could. It's really taxing on your body more than a half. Like when I was doing the 15, I was telling Lisa, you get like super chafe. Like, you know, things are rubbing together for a long time and it hurts. I mean, it gets a little uncomfortable.
They have like Vaseline for that, right?
Yeah. You can pack that with you, but I mean, there's like some reapplication. It's like a whole process.
I would imagine that'd mess up your time if you had to reapply while you were running.
A little awkward.
Okay.
Halfway with your hand down your pants.
Right?
I wish we could get that face on camera just then. Yeah. So I know you for a little while. I know you had talked about wanting to come for a while before you actually did. What was the big struggle before to get you in here? What held you back? What took you so long? What was the straw that broke the back to actually come in? Anything like that?
Well, I'm a mom, so
You are?
I am. Yeah, full time. It's hard. So that's why I need this space for sure.
So dig into that a little bit more. This helps you as a mom?
For sure.
How so?
Because when you're a full-time mom, everything goes into your kids and your house and them, to where this is a space where I get to work on myself and have adult conversations and not kid conversations. Surrounded by positivity and encouragement, when it can be hard staying at home all day, every day with kids.
I find myself, obviously, I'm a dad of 2, and sometimes I find myself using kids' words in adult conversations with people that aren't, like,
I'm gonna go potty.
I'm gonna go potty, I'm gonna go pee-pee, I'm gonna go, like, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that to a non-parent adult.
Yep. So this is a space where you get to have adult conversations.
So you get some space, some adult conversations. Being with kids all day is hard. So that kind of helps you. Now back to what kind of we were talking about. Struggle. What was the straw that finally got you in here? What took so long, or what didn't take long?
Well, back to being a mom. The gym I was at had childcare.
Yep.
So that was, you see me in here with the kids. It's hard to get out of that mom mode when they're like, Mom, can I have this? Or Mom, can I do that? And you're just trying to focus and and be in your space. So the gym I was at before had childcare. So I was able to close that door and enter a space for me.
Did they leave you alone there?
Yeah, yeah. They were in like a totally separate area. So I was able to kind of unplug, and I, again, don't like going to work out by myself. So like going and doing like the way or something wasn't fulfilling for me either. Like I like pushing myself around other people, the camaraderie, and watching Joe over here, pacing with him and pushing myself to be better. So if I'm by myself, I wouldn't grab the 30s like I did yesterday. I would have grabbed probably 25s, but I was pushed to do it, and I did it. So that feels good. Having this be a space where people push you past where you think you can go.
You think you get farther here than by yourself?
Absolutely.
What are some things that you've done that you maybe never thought you could have that you maybe thought you never could have done, like some results, surprises, big wins you've had since being here?
Well, I just got my first muscle up, and I worked really hard, and you guys were awesome and coaching me, and that was an area that was really hard, and mentally and physically I was getting really frustrated. But you keep pushing, you have people around you that motivate you, and finally got it.
How often were you practicing that?
Like 3 days a week.
For how long?
March.
Since March? April, May, June, July, August. 5 months?
5 months.
Working really hard at something, and you finally got it. It was a birthday goal, and you got it early.
Yeah, I did. Gave myself to December. Got it in August.
So that's a big win. Any other surprises? Any other...
I always wanted to look how I trained, and that was a big goal for me. I always struggled with my physical appearance, like self-physical appearance. So when focusing on being a better athlete in here, instead of just going to the gym and trying to do, reps and sets, and it brought me into a different mental space to enjoy the workout process, and the results came after, just focusing on bettering myself.
So you're in a better headspace now than you were before? Mm-hmm. You had a focus shift helped with that. Mm-hmm. What was the maybe the tipping point, or when did that shift happen? How did that happen?
Honestly, it was when I first started here at Die Hard. I was trying to be super strong and be this power lifter, and I was trying to focus on how much I can lift. And I was kind of going backwards. I was gaining a lot more weight, and I enjoyed the running and the endurance part of me, and I started struggling with that because I was building a little bit more muscle than I wanted, or at the time I didn't want to build that much muscle. But so I had to make that mind shift of, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to be the best athlete I can be, or am I trying to be a really good power lifter in here and try to compete in that area? So once I started focusing on being the best I could be in all aspects as far as endurance and strength, and not just one or the other, then I had a focus shift of just enjoying the workouts and enjoying pushing myself to certain limits, I guess. I don't know. And then once I started that process of just enjoying it and trying not to I don't know, lift for physique or to look a certain way, then it just started kind of naturally happening.
So you came in and you were like, endurance girl trying to be a power lifter. I mean, we have a pretty varied program. So what does that mean? You were eating more and coming only on weightlifting days, trying to be a certain way, or skipping endurance days, or just not trying as hard? What does that look like?
I was trying to eat a lot more and lift more to try to be a better power lifter.
Why do you think to be a better power lifter? Why do you think that is what you latched onto right when you started?
Because I was intimidated because I wasn't as strong as other athletes in here. I knew I was a great endurance athlete and I could keep up with the endurance stuff, but as far as like how much I was lifting, I was nowhere near a lot of the athletes in here, so that intimidated me.
Gaining strength takes time.
And I've learned that. Because I've been here over a year, but trying not to push myself with the weights and trying to be the strongest I can be right away has helped enjoying being in here instead of getting frustrated.
I mean, you just set a muscle up goal. It took 5 months, right? So like things do take time, and then weight moves weight. So if you can get stronger by gaining weight, a bunch of weight, good and bad weight. And if you gain bad weight just to be stronger, but that's not your ultimate goal, you will get stronger, but then the other side of that coin is that you gain weight you didn't want to gain just to be strong, for an ego thing to be.
And endurance-wise, that's a lot more weight to move around.
Yeah, so just knowing your goal is very helpful. You know, if you didn't care about gaining weight and all you cared about was being strong, then that's one way to go. But the gymnastics and the other stuff suffers that way as well. Biggest win was a muscle up. Any surprises? Anything that was surprising about coming in here? Or did you already know it all before you came in?
People walking on their hands was surprising.
Well, you could walk on your hands when you got here.
No, I cannot.
No? I thought you always had that one in the bag. I thought you always had that one in the bag.
No. You should have seen me when I started trying to walk on my hands.
What did it look like?
I don't even know. Like a stiff, I don't know.
I bet you have some old videos of it.
I do. I have some old videos.
Okay. So biggest surprise was walking in to see people walking on their hands? How long did that take you to get?
Like 6 months.
Okay. 6 months to get handstand walk, 5 months to get muscle up. So you have the bar muscle up now. What's the next goal? What's the next thing on the list?
Butterfly pull-ups.
Butterfly pull-ups. Okay. How many kipping pull-ups can you do?
Like 10.
How many strict pull-ups can you do?
Like 10.
How many could you do when you got here?
Like 5.
5? So doubled that. Very good. All that can be intimidating to some people when they walk in and see people doing things they can't do. Were you intimidated when you came in?
Yeah. Because I was good at what I did I was one of the best athletes there. But it was dumbbells, limited barbell, and a lot of endurance cardio.
If you're the biggest fish in the pond, it's time to find a new pond, right? That's what they say. What would you tell somebody that might be like, that looking to come in, they're intimidated, they don't know if it's for them, they've heard things, what would you say?
Modify and scale where you have to, and watch yourself get better over time to where you can do the things that intimidated you.
Do you think this is for everybody?
Yeah.
Do you think everybody is for this?
No. I think it takes a certain mentality to be able to push through hard things.
To push through hard things? Do hard things on purpose is what we're talking about this week. Do you think that mentality can be developed by coming in here? Or do you think you have to have it even if it's buried by 100 pounds of extra weight and laziness? Do you think you have to have it, or do you think that's something that can be developed?
Totally be developed.
How do you think someone that is coming off of the couch, hasn't done anything, is overweight and out of shape, coming in here, how are they going to develop that? What's the most important thing for that?
To not give up when it gets hard.
So not giving up, showing up maybe?
Showing up, not giving up when it gets hard. Growing from watching yourself overcome those hard things. So when you overcome the hard thing, then you kind of like celebrate in that for a little bit and help that grow your mentality or your growth in this space and who you are, and then take that next step and do that next hard thing and watch yourself grow, not only physically but mentally.
Is CrossFit more mental or physical?
That's a hard question.
Look at me.
I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of both. Like
Okay.
yesterday's workout, for example, I mentally wasn't ready to pick up the 30s, and
You looked mentally ready when you lapped me twice running around. What do you mean you weren't ready to pick up the 30s?
I really wasn't. I saw that Britt did the 25s, and I was like, all right, I'll do the 25s. And then Randall was like, you gotta do the 35s. I was like, fine, I'll go in the middle. And I wasn't ready mentally to do that, but
Could have fooled me.
I wasn't ready.
What's your favorite CrossFit movement?
Ooh.
You're not allowed to say running.
Dang it. Rope climbs.
Rope climbs. Okay.
like rope
Least favorite CrossFit movement?
Wall balls. I'm short.
4'11" and 5'8". Favorite food?
Apple with peanut butter.
Favorite movie?
I don't know, that's a hard one. I don't really like watching movies.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Okay. There was one other good question we used to ask. Do you remember it?
Die Hard movie.
It is a movie. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, Christmas movie.
She doesn't like movies though.
No, I've never seen Die Hard.
Never seen Die Hard. Oh.
Favorite color? What's your favorite movement? I feel like that was really good.
All right. That's it.
Cool.
Thank
You
you.
get what you needed?